Hello, I'm Stephanie Mandeville, Communications Director for NEA Rhode Island. Today is Wednesday, September 30th, and it is the 22nd episode of Ask Larry and Bob. And I am joined today, as I am every week, by Larry Purtill, President of NEARI, and Executive Director Bob Walsh. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Steph.
And there is a fourth box in our meeting today, and I am very happy to welcome our special guest, NEARI Government Relations Director and Rhode Island AFL-CIO Secretary Treasurer, and my colleague and friend, Patrick Crowley. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Steph. Hey, Bob. Hey, Larry. Good to see everyone.
Hey, Pat.
Good to have you here. We invited Pat because we are going to have a very special episode today. It's the election episode. And we are creeping closer to the general election. And so we're going to talk at length about civic engagement and endorsements, candidates, etc. But before we do that, let's start with the issues of the day and dive into the governor's press conference today. She did talk a little bit about rapid testing in K-12. She said everything is going extremely smoothly and that we have tested, I think, 4,000 people. We are not getting those same reports. Larry, what are you hearing about rapid testing K-12?
That is not going exceptionally well. I've talked to a few school administrators along with our own local leaders, and in many cases, people have had to wait up until, for 6 days to get their results back. Parents of students have been denied the test and had to come back later. And in a couple of cases, they actually couldn't find people's test results. So, and this isn't just one or two cases, it's a multiple number of cases. And the difficult part there is these rapid tests are supposed to be done. We're supposed to have the results that day. Two tests are supposed to be done, one rapid and one which would take 24 to 48 hours, but I'm hearing, 4 to 6 days. And that's unacceptable, because if you got somebody who's being quarantined, that means they're not in teaching, they're not working, students are being impacted. So it's bad all around. So whether it's how widespread it is, but it's certainly widespread enough that they should be paying attention to it and clarifying it and clearing it up. And again, it's not just our own local presidents. I'm hearing this from the school administrators as well, who are concerned about their lack of staff because they can't get them tested.
Where's the disconnect there? I mean, if it's not running smoothly, there are issues. We're not hearing that from the administration.
Well, I think one of the disconnects here is, this is a huge undertaking, whether it's the testing, opening schools, virtual learning while doing in person. It's not going to run as smooth as you think. So be transparent about it. Listen, if there's problems, say it. Listen, testing, you could have easily have said today, testing is going smoothly in most places, but we have some difficulties we need to straighten out. That would take care of it. But when you say everything's going great, or in the case of Barrington today, it didn't have any power, but they still had schools, things aren't going that great. Be transparent about it. I don't think any of us think that this is going to go perfectly. It can't. It's impossible. So admit when things aren't going well, and let's work to correct it. Nothing wrong with that.
So you mentioned Barrington. We did get reports that there are some issues in Barrington with power loss and still having the doors open. Bob, what do you have from that?
To the first part of the question Larry addressed, it seems that people are afraid to give bad news to the governor, so they only report good news at these press conferences, and that is disconcerting to say the least. And no better illustration of that than is the decision with no power in the schools to open the schools in any district, in this case, Barrington today. At least some of the schools had no power and they opened anyway. Obviously that makes no sense, because if there's no power, there's no fans running, there's no hot water, there's no HVAC. It could be state-of-the-art system, as Larry observed earlier today, but if it's not turned on, you're not getting any benefit. And it's probably impossible to have everybody outside, because students and teachers still need access to the building for just to wash their hands, among other things. So I think that was a decision that was, if all the reports are true, it was just a colossal mistake and cannot be replicated. I mean, if we pursue it through the grievance procedure, have those options. If they admit the mistake and agree that that will never happen again, that'd be enough. No, I mean, it's crazy. You just don't run the school buses when the schools don't have power. It makes, even if there's not a pandemic, for health and safety reasons, you don't do that. So it's very frustrating hearing stories like that, because it means information is either not getting back and forth to the governor's office, or folks are afraid.
And health and safety is no longer two words that are guiding us in this school year, and that's concerning.
Incredibly so.
Yes. That is unfolding still, so we're still gathering more information about that issue, and we'll obviously mention more about it as the week progresses. CCRI and higher ed, we talked a little bit last week. Bob, I don't know if you want to give a quick update on any developments with the layoffs at CCRI, which, as Larry has said, were ill-advised.
Yes, Larry's hard-hitting statement was very well said, that management has thrown in the towel on additional resources at CCRI at a critical time. There is no reason that there should be critical employees being laid off at the Community College of Rhode Island, or for our colleagues at Rhode Island College for that matter. You know, student attendance fluctuates on a year-to-year basis for all sorts of reasons. They are trying to have a robust experience for students during the pandemic. We need all hands on deck at CCRI, and it was a foolishly premature decision for management to throw in the towel. I know our locals there are working to try and figure out how to preserve those jobs, and we hope that management will see the light and work with us on that. And it's also going to uncover a lot of other management structural problems that have existed there under the current administration. They are spending money foolishly on a lot of things when they should be spending money wisely on the folks who have kept the college running since its existence of over 50 years. It's very frustrating.
We have one more update before we move on to the election stuff, and that is from Tiverton. Now, we're in what, episode 22? Nearly every single episode we have talked about our sister, Amy Mullen, bring back Amy, etc. We've heard all sorts of great things nearly all summer. So what is the update from Amy Mullen and the issue with Tiverton School Committee and Superintendent?
One of the other issues that the management side of Tiverton tried to achieve in federal court, and as folks know, the federal court ordered that Amy be reinstated to her position because they found a high probability of success that we would win, that her First Amendment rights had been violated because they went after her job because of her involvement in the union. It had nothing to do with her teaching. They also had a motion before the management had a motion before the federal courts to dismiss the lawsuit, and that was thrown out by the judge as well. There was an interesting additional element to that ruling because under the law, the school committees and superintendents essentially have, on constitutional issues, authority delegated to them from the town, and in this case, it would be the town council. The judge has decided to substitute the town of Tiverton as the plaintiff. So the bad actions of the school committee and the superintendent are costing the town of Tiverton money unless they get their act together and solve the problems before the full case goes to trial. Hopefully the town will have more wisdom and influence over the school committee's foolish and punitive decision against one of our union leaders. And I look forward to the day where we do not have to talk about this issue on the show ever again. But that day is not here. Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet, but it's still good news for Amy.
Yeah, oh yeah, very good.
Not so good for the town of Tiverton, unfortunately, because now they
Every-
could be liable for
And there have
the
been,
nonsense.
we last talked, a couple of unfair labor practices that were decided in favor of the union that management had violated that part of the, so we're pretty much, however many actions there have been, it's us, all of them, and management zero. And they still don't get it. And I wish the citizens of Tiverton would rise up and demand better management.
Indeed. So there's an election coming up. So before we get into the kind of the meat of endorsements, et cetera, I just want to review some important deadlines for folks. So obviously the general election is Tuesday, November 3rd. The deadline to register to vote, if you have not done so, is Sunday. You need to get that done Sunday, October 4th. Your mail ballot application deadline is Tuesday, October 13th. And early in-person voting, which you can do, is starting on October 14th. And that rolls right through to the 3rd. Pat, is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right. So one thing I wanted to make a point of, and because I see a lot, especially social media, there are a lot of organizations, applications that have these tools that you can sort of type in your district or type in your information to find out more information about either your ballot or where to vote and things like that. We have an amazing Secretary of State in Nellie Gorbea, and the website is fantastic. And I'll make sure to put it in the body of the video as well, vote.sos.ri.gov. And you can get your voter records, you can find your polling place, view a sample ballot, and you can track the status of your mail ballot. Pat, can you talk a little bit about this? Because I really feel like people don't realize that in all of this stuff that we're hearing nationally with mail ballots being in the creek down by the river, that you can actually track your mail ballot. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great system. So in order to vote by mail in Rhode Island, it's a two-step process. Step one, you've got to apply or ask for a mail ballot. And there's certain questions that you have to answer. And if you answer those questions, you get your mail ballot sent to you. So because of the kind of confusion across the country in terms of what's going on with the post office, what's really going on with ballots, and even here in Rhode Island, some more conservative voices are trying to muddy the waters a little bit in terms of voter, ballot safety. You can literally go and find out what the status of your ballot application is and whether or not it's been received, processed, or approved. And I'll just give you a good example, Stephanie, and it involves my ballot application. So I applied for a mail ballot application in the primary. I checked the status bar and it said that it was not approved. And I thought that was odd. So I called up my local board of canvassers and said, is there a problem I need to know about? No, the problem was that there were no primary elections in the town where I live, so there's no reason to send me a ballot. But it was helpful to be able to know, hey, I was expecting this to come. It didn't come, is there an answer? And there was. So for the general election, I did the same thing. I applied for my ballot, mailed it in, and just the other day, I checked the status and my ballot has been approved. So once the state gets ready to send all of those out, I will now know to look for it. And if it doesn't arrive, I can then call my local board of canvassers, call the Secretary of State, but take appropriate action to make sure that my voting rights are protected.
I did the same. Before we did this, I went online to the website. Couldn't be easier. Checked on my mail ballot application. It was approved. Everything is, I'm just waiting in the same boat as you, so that when the state is ready to mail out the ballots, I know to look for mine.
I did the same thing.
There you go. Larry, 4 for 4?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
4 for 4.
So I'll end that just by saying, make your plan to vote. Anybody who's watching this, make your plan to vote. Vote early if you can. And we're going to now go through the slate of endorsed candidates so that you know who we think you should consider. Before we do that, there was, well, I'm not sure what happened last night was a debate, but if you want to give your thoughts on the performance or lack thereof of what happened last night, anybody can start. It's not going to be me.
Well,
It was the most pathetic performance I think I've ever seen by in a presidential debate. And you know, presidential debates been going since 1960 on television, and obviously before that. And if people don't understand the reasons for getting out to vote now, I'm not sure they ever will. But aside from the debate performance by the current office holder in the White House, how bad he was and how rude he was and just obnoxious, the fact is that if he's reelected, the people viewing this, our members, are in for a long 4 years, because stacking the Supreme Court, if we don't gain control of the Senate, if we ever lose the House during those 4 years, we are going to be in difficult times as a union. And Trump is already through appointments, through the Department of Labor, have tried to take away union rights. We saw the Janus decision. That's just going to only increase when he's untethered. So in Rhode Island, I would expect is going to vote for Joe Biden, but where our members could really help, and if they're interested, let us know, because both NEA and the Biden campaign are looking for volunteers, for people to make phone calls. And NEA has a great program 2 nights a week where they ask members to call other members in different states, swing states. So a Rhode Islander could call someone in Wisconsin or Michigan, etc. So important that we win this election. We need Biden and Harris as president. Public education needs Biden and Harris. Can you imagine 4 more years of Betsy DeVos? And I have my little hand sanitizer here that says bye-bye to Betsy DeVos. And that's exactly what we want to do on November 3rd. That came from NEA. So we, NEA Rhode Island and NEA nationally, obviously have endorsed Joe Biden. We've also, at the state level, Jack Reed, Jim Langevin, and David Cicilline as well. Those are recommendations that we make here in Rhode Island, and then I take to DC for the NEA-PAC. But I just encourage everyone to, if you have relatives in another state, push them to get out and vote. Because if we don't vote and people don't vote, then we're gonna, I hate to think what we can end up with. And right now, things look good, but boy, anything can change in 5 weeks. So get out and vote and volunteer.
Patrick, any thoughts?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Bob.
the thing that came to mind while I was watching last night was if the current office holder had behaved like that in any one of our teacher classrooms, they would have been sent to the principal's office immediately. You know, I mean, it's just that simple. And Larry's right on everything he said, and it really highlights the importance of all of our members getting out to vote, and vote, you know, early if you can, and vote on November 3rd, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Bob?
I would only add that usually I can find some redeeming characteristic, some level of personal rapport, something, even with folks with whom I disagree on most and sometimes all issues. And it is a very sad day for America, where there are a lot of folks like me who cannot find one redeeming characteristic in the man who is currently president of the United States. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking that we have reached that conclusion. I think when a saying from when we were kids came to mind, he was rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. He sets a horrible example for our students, for our country, and for our reputation around the world. And I like to think that even if I agreed with him on the issues, his personal behavior should be enough to have him removed from office. The old-fashioned way at the polls on November 3rd.
Agreed.
And
Agreed. Heartbreaking on many levels too, because as a student of politics, as a student of political engagement, as a person who is a communications director, who's worked as in PR, the damage that is done not just to our country, but to politics in general, the discourse, to the level of communications, to watching that debate last night, which I only made it till 9:57. I couldn't even make it through the whole way. But knowing that afterward, people who share my career field were going to try and defend that. And the damage that those folks have done breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, it really does. So yeah, I would encourage everybody to vote, get out there, make your plan today, and get out and vote early if you can, November 3rd at the latest.
Yeah, Steph, that's absolutely right. I just want to lift up another thing that Larry had said. You know, the virtual phone banks that NEA is doing really can make a difference. I mean, I remember, and I think all four of us remember, the Obama-Biden campaign of 2008 in Rhode Island. And it was cool, right? I mean, we would have people in Rhode Island calling across the country. And it was as the sun set over the United States, we would just move west with the sun and hit every single time zone. And, you know, Rhode Islanders helped make thousands and thousands and thousands of calls into states. And I'd like to think we made a little bit of a difference. You know, we're a small state, but we punch above our weight class. So I would really, like Larry said, encourage anyone who wants to make a difference to sign up for one of these virtual phone banks. It will help.
So yes, and those phone banks, and I can speak to in 2008 that Rhode Island called out into Montana, because I was there for Montana during the Get Out the Vote. And I'd like to think that we did make a difference there too, because it did turn a little purple back in 2008. Those member-to-member phone banks, we're going to put a link to that on our website, neari.org/2020. And I'll be populating that page throughout the week just to update it with the information that we're talking about today. Monday and Tuesday are NEA nights, and Wednesdays are Educators for Biden. So there are going to be two different links that you'll see. You know, I had a sense of helplessness after last night's debate, and I went and signed up for a volunteer training for Biden-Harris. They are doing a texting campaign. And so I'm going to get trained tomorrow morning on whatever tool that they have decided to use in the campaign. And that's what I'm going to be doing just to make some sort of difference. So hopefully anyone else who's watching this will join me in that volunteer effort. In addition to the national endorsements, we obviously have General Assembly candidates, and we have a list of House and Senate candidates that, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to run through. And again, we're going to post this information on the website, but Patrick, why don't you start us off with the endorsed slate of General Assembly candidates?
Absolutely. So I'll start with the House of Representatives. We are endorsing in District 4, which is Providence, Representative Rebecca Kislak. Also in Providence, District 5, Representative Marcia Ranglin-Vassell. In District 6, which is North Providence and Providence, endorsing Representative Ray Hull. In District 9, which is Providence, endorsing Representative Anastasia Williams. District 11 in Providence, we are endorsing Representative Grace Diaz. District 15 in Cranston, we are endorsing Speaker Mattiello for re-election. District 19, which is Cranston and Warwick, we're endorsing Representative Joseph McNamara. District 21, which is Warwick, we are endorsing Representative Camille Vella Wilkinson. And just to highlight her for a minute, our lead sponsor and our champion on the continuing contract legislation in the House of Representatives.
Yes.
District 22 in Warwick, we're endorsing Representative Joseph Solomon. District 26, which is West Warwick, Coventry, and Warwick, Representative Jim Jackson. Jim is a union member, retired IBEW Local 99 member and staff person, great person and a strong labor voice.
And he used to teach at the vocational school in Providence too, so he's a double union member.
District 28, which is Coventry, we're endorsing Scott Guthrie. Scott used to be a representative, lost a re-election bid, and is now trying to get re-elected again. So again, another union member, firefighter, incredibly strong advocate for working families. In District 30, which is East Greenwich and West Greenwich, we're endorsing Representative Justine Caldwell. District 31, we're endorsing, which is Exeter and North Kingstown, Representative Julie Casimiro. And before I forget, let me go back because I kind of skipped over a number. In District 16, which is Warwick and Cranston, we're endorsing endorsing Brandon Potter, who won a primary over an incumbent and is a tough race in the general election. Going back to the numbered list, District 31, Exeter, North Kingstown, we're endorsing Representative Julie Casimiro. District 43, which is Johnson, Representative Deborah Filella. District 46, Lincoln, Pawtucket, it also happens to be where I live, Representative John Lyle. Jack, as he's known, is running as an independent. He ran as a Republican last time and won. So it helps to have, a little bipartisan support for NEA Rhode Island members out there. In House District 53, which is Gloucester and Smithfield, we're endorsing Representative Bernie Hawkins. In District 61, which is Pawtucket, we're endorsing Leonella Felix, who's a new candidate. She won against an incumbent in the primary. And if folks get a chance to meet her, I'm really excited about her. I mean, I think she's going to be a great voice for working people in the chamber when she gets there. Hopefully, if she gets there after November 3rd.
Great.
Moving on, District 68, which is Bristol and Warren, Representative June Speakman, who is a NEA leader at her workplace and just an all-around great representative and great person.
Our first guest. She was our first
Yes.
guest on Ask Larry and Bob.
Imagine.
Love you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fantastic. District 69, which is Bristol and Portsmouth, another NEA member, now retired teacher, Representative Susan Donovan. Again, another strong voice for our members in the chamber. District 70, which is Portsmouth and Tiverton, we're endorsing Representative John J. Edwards, who's the House Majority Whip. In District 71, which is Little Compton, Portsmouth, and Tiverton, we're endorsing another new candidate, Michelle McGaugh, who is, I think, going to be another very strong voice for union members, public education, and I look forward to hopefully seeing her get elected in November. And then finally, for the House of Representatives, District 72, which is Middletown and Portsmouth, we're endorsing Representative Terry Cortvrend, who has been, a real strong voice for public education, first in her time on the Portsmouth School Committee and now in the House of Representatives, and has just been a thoughtful, caring voice about issues that affect our members up there, and it would be great to see her return. In the Senate, a number of races that we're taking part in. In District 8, which covers Pawtucket, we're endorsing Senator Sandra Cano. In District 10, which is Bristol, Tiverton, and Warren, we're endorsing Senator Walter Felag. In District 14, which is East Providence, this name might sound familiar to some of the folks that have regular watchers of Ask Larry and Bob, but Senator Val Lawson, who is not only a fantastic voice for working people in the Senate, is a leader of NEA Rhode Island as our statewide vice president, and someone I think all of us consider a close friend. And it's been great to see how successful she's been representing all of her constituents in East Providence. In District 26, we are endorsing, which is Cranston, endorsing Senator Frank Lombardi. And in District 27, which is Cranston West Warwick, Senator Hannah Gallo, the chairperson of the Senate Education Committee, a member of our sister union, the Rhode Island Federation of Teachers and Health Professionals, and all around good person when it comes to education and working people's issues.
My senator.
District 28, which is Cranston and Providence, Senator Joshua Miller. District 29, which is Warwick, Senator Mike McCaffrey, who's the majority leader in the Senate. And it's important to point out, our champion on that side of the building when it came to the continuing contract legislation. Majority Leader McCaffrey has fought for us for years on this issue. And we are proud of all of his hard work. And it was great to see this bill get over the finish line last year, thanks to him and Representative Vella Wilkinson, among many others. District 35, which is East Greenwich, North Kingstown, South Kingstown, Narragansett, one of the most interesting drawn districts in the state.
My district.
I think we refer to it as the Lighthouse District.
That's right.
That's right.
Senator Bridget Valverde, who's running for re-election. Right next door in District 36, which covers Narragansett and North Kingstown, which is Larry's district.
My district.
Endorsing a new candidate, Alana DeMario, who is, I think, going to be a very, very important voice for public education and working families in the Senate. In District 37, we are endorsing Senator Sue Sosnowski. That covers New Shoreham and South Kingstown. And then another race, a new person, Senator in Senate District 9, which is West Warwick, John Burke, who's running in an open seat that was vacated by the retiring Senator Adam Satchel, who was a member of the Federation of Teachers. And John is a former union member retiree from URI. Was a member of the one of the AFSCME locals at URI. And before I forget, since I have these lists kind of set up in terms of who we did and who we didn't do, back to the House real quick, Senate House District 42, which is Cranston and Johnston, endorsing Edward Cardillo, who is running for an open seat that was vacated by the retiring Representative Ucci.
If we neglected to mention your favorite elected official, it's probably because they do not have a general election opponent, and Pat ran through the list of only the races that are contested. We have many, many other friends in the General Assembly. We are fortunate to have many friends in the General Assembly, and a subset of them are lucky enough not to have a challenger on the ballot in November.
Such as my rep, who's terrific, Carol Hagan McEntee, would be a great example of that.
Perfect example.
There you go. Thank you, Pat. So that's a long list, and we'll make sure we have that on the website. Going down the ballot, we're going to have questions, and there is a question 1 for the state, and it is an amendment to the Constitution of the state to remove Providence plantations. Pat, can you give like a little overview of that question?
Absolutely. So this is a second time around for this question before the voters. Back in 2010, I believe it was also on the ballot. Almost the same exact question. As most folks know, we are the smallest state with the longest name in the country. The official name of Rhode Island is the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. Obviously, the word plantations has a connotation that's tied with a very dark part of American history connected to slavery. And as you know, Rhode Island has a particular connection to the original sin of slavery here in the United States. We were a hub of money buying slaves and benefited tremendously over centuries from the slave trade. So this ballot question would change the name of the state to simply the State of Rhode Island. It would remove Providence plantations. We've seen already the executive branch and the General Assembly have removed the phrase Providence plantations from official letterhead. And what this ballot question would do would simply change the Constitution to strike this phrase from our official name. As Stephanie said, in my other role as Secretary Treasurer of the Rhode Island AFL-CIO, the statewide labor movement voted to endorse question 1 and ask our members to support voting yes on question 1. It lost overwhelmingly 10 years ago. My hope is, and I think it's shared by all of us in this conversation, with the heightened attention to racial discrimination, to violence against brown and black people in the United States, it's time. It's just time to change this name and take a small step to try to address long-standing issues. This will not solve the problem of, racial inequality in Rhode Island or in the United States, but it's something that we can do. And whenever there's something that we can do to make things better, I think we should. So it's by endorsing question 1, we're taking a small step forward to reconciliation.
Agreed.
Pretty good
Thank you.
summary. Whenever we do something to make things better, we should. That should
Absolutely
be our motto
agree.
from now on.
Yeah. Might get a t-shirt. Might put that
That's
out
another
there.
t-shirt. There you go. More positive than knock it off. It's a positive message.
Yes. Continuing down the ballot, there are going to be different bond questions, community to community. Bob, what should voters do if they see questions about bond questions to approve education or school facilities?
If you see a school bond, please vote for it. One of the things that was highlighted during the pandemic is the awful condition of the infrastructure of our public schools. Several communities got to the legislature in time before they shut down to get local ballot initiatives on the ballot, Newport being an example, and we need to go all out to make sure the funds are available. Interest rates are as low as they have ever been in America. This is the time to borrow for long-term, low interest rate and upgrade your infrastructure, or in some cases, build brand new buildings. Unfortunately, some of these statewide bond issues we're accustomed to seeing and supporting will not be on the ballot this fall because the legislature did not come back. So we'll probably see those in a special election, but there are local bond issues for public education, and we will get the information out to our members in those communities so that they can be fully informed and support them.
That's your ballot, people.
That's the
From
ballot.
the top to the bottom. And then you just got to put it in the envelope because everybody's going to make their plan to vote early and either walk it in or mail it in or feed the eagle, which I know that's not what you're supposed to say anymore, but I do love that expression. I think John Marion from Common Cause pointed that out to me once on Twitter, that it's not feed the eagle anymore, but I still like that. So, and again, those NEA nights, we're going to make sure we have that up on the website. Monday and Tuesday, member to member, and Wednesday is Educators for Biden. Larry, why don't you give us a closing thought? I just put you on the spot.
From top to bottom, I think it's the most important election. I won't say ever because, but certainly in modern times, at least in the last 120 years, because what is at stake nationally. But we've gone through a pandemic. Hopefully we're more than halfway through it, but who knows? We're certainly dealing with it. We need people who are going to support public education, who are going to support workers, who are going to support raising the minimum wage, all the things that make the economy better to help workers and to help us get out of this pandemic. And that includes, one thing we didn't mention in there, but town council, school committee, city council races that a lot of our locals get involved with. So certainly encourage you to get out and vote locally as well. It's not just at the national, state level, it's at your local level too. So when you see your local union recommending candidates to you, those are people who are going to support public education, union workers, and working families. So very important to get out and vote. And as you just said, do it early, do it by mail ballot, get it done, get it in. And I trust the postal system. They deliver millions of letters every day. I think they can handle the mail ballots.
Agreed. So thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll just close with Vice President Biden's words from last night: vote, vote, vote. Thank you very much. Pat, thank you so much for joining us for
Thanks,
this.
Pat.
You're welcome, everyone. Thank you very much.
And Bob and Larry, we'll see you next week.
Episode 23.
Yet another fun-filled episode.
Yes. Thank you.